I paid for my sister's wedding, and then my father uninvited me, scoffing. It's only for family. My sister clicked her tongue. Know your place. I said nothing. But when they raised their glasses for the toast, the doors burst open, revealing the gift I sent in my place. My name is Ignacio. I'm 32 years old and I just did something so petty, so incredibly over the top, that I can't even believe it myself. But you know what? I don't regret a thing. Because for the first time in my life, I finally made my family feel the humiliation they've been putting me through for years. I own a horse ranch. It's my pride and joy. I train competition horses, breed thoroughbreds, and teach rich kids how to ride. I earn well. Much better than people think. But to my family, it's like I'm some peasant wallowing in muck. They've been ashamed of me. I'll never forget last Christmas. I came straight from work to my parents' house, still in my jeans and boots, smelling of hay and leather. I had a bottle of whiskey for my father and a wrapped gift for my sister Lucia. The second I walked through the door, she wrinkled her nose with a disgusted grimace. "Oh my God, Ignacio," she groaned, taking a dramatic step back. "Seriously? You came smelling like that?" I frowned. "Like what?" "Like a stable," she said, waving a hand in front of her face. "Couldn't you at least have showered?" Mother let out an awkward laugh as she looked me up and down. "Honey, we have guests. Maybe next time you could wear something cleaner." I glanced down. My clothes were worn, yes, but clean. My boots had some dust. So what? But for them it wasn't presentable. I was the family embarrassment. They'd whisper about me at gatherings. Why doesn't he get a real job? He always looks like he's just wrestled a cow. And yet, when Lucia needed money for her wedding, suddenly I was useful. It all started with a simple request. Lucia clung to my arm during a rare family dinner, wearing a saccharine smile. "You know I love you, right?" I tensed. Lucia only said, "I love you," when she wanted something. She continued, "You see, we're a teeny bit over budget with the wedding and I was thinking—" "No," I said bluntly. "You haven't even asked yet." I crossed my arms. "You want me to pay for something, don't you?" Lucia pouted. "Come on, Ini. You're doing so well with that little horse business of yours." "Horse business?" Mother sighed. "Ignacio, don't be difficult. You know how important this day is for Lucia." Father cleared his throat. "It's family, son. We all chip in when needed." "Yeah, Ignacio," Lucia chimed in. "And since you don't have a family of your own, it's not like you have many expenses, right?" That one stung. I clenched my jaw, ready to tell them exactly what I thought of them. But I didn't, because deep down some stupid part of me still craved their approval. So like a fool I paid for everything. The venue, the catering, the designer dress Lucia just had to have, even her honeymoon suite. And then when the invitations went out, mine never arrived. When I asked Lucia about it, she laughed. "Oh, Ignacio, don't take it personally," she said, not looking up from her phone. "It's just that, well, it's a black tie event, you know? Super elegant. We didn't want anything out of place." I stared at her. "I paid for it. And I adore you for it," she trilled. "But you know, it's probably for the best anyway. You'd hate it." Lucia still hadn't looked up from her phone. "All those fancy people in their tuxedos. Not really your style, right?" Mother smiled condescendingly. "It's a family-only event, darling. You understand, right?" I understood perfectly. They wanted my money, not me. So I let them have their perfect wedding. Didn't argue. Didn't fight. I simply sent them a little gift. And just as they raised their glasses to toast the happy couple, a loud honk echoed through the venue. Someone gasped. "What's that smell?" The grand doors burst open, revealing the gift I sent in my place. I sat in my Toyota Hilux parked outside the venue, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. Through the enormous glass windows I could see them. My family. My sister. My parents. All dressed in their perfect designer outfits, laughing, drinking, celebrating a celebration I paid for. And yet I wasn't even worth an invitation. I should have seen it coming. In fact, I did see it coming. But like a fool, I thought that maybe, just maybe, this time would be different. It wasn't. Lucia got everything she always wanted. A perfect, elegant wedding with the right people, the perfect decor, the flawless image. And me? I was just the wallet behind it all. I exhaled. No, Not this time. I wasn't going to swallow my pride and walk away, letting them humiliate me again. If they thought I was too dirty, too embarrassing to show up at their wedding, then I'd make damn sure they never forgot me. I pulled out my phone and made the call. 15 minutes later, the side doors to the venue creaked open. First, nobody noticed. The music was too loud, the chatter too constant. But then the sound, hooves hitting the marble floor. A slow, steady rhythm. Clop, clop, clop. Heads turned. Conversations stalled. Someone near the entrance murmured, "But what?" And then the smell. It wasn't immediate, but it crept into the air. Earthy, sharp, unmistakably stable. The kind of smell that clings to leather saddles and hay bales. Something most of those people had never smelled outside of a petting zoo. A murmur rippled through the crowd as the first horse entered. Daisy, my youngest mare, well-trained and calm, was the first to cross the threshold. She wasn't scared, just curious. Her ears flicked forward. Her nostrils flared as she inhaled the scent of expensive perfume and champagne. Behind her, the others followed, their hooves echoing on the polished marble floor. Lucia's perfect wedding came to an abrupt end. A waiter holding a tray of appetizers froze in place, eyes wide. Guests in impeccable tuxedos and delicate silk dresses recoiled, stunned and horrified. "Are those horses?" someone stammered. But then Lucia's voice sliced through the chaos like a knife. "Get them out of here." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, enjoying the show. "Well," I said with a smirk, "you said it was a family event." Lucia's eyes darted from the horses to me. "Ignacio, get them out of here right now." But before I could respond, Daisy shifted. And that's when it happened. A wet, heavy plop landed right in the center of the dance floor. Dead silence. A second later, someone choked. And then all hell broke loose. People stumbled over themselves trying to get away. A woman in a sequin dress shrieked as one of the horses shook itself, sending flecks of dried mud into the air. The DJ mid-song stood in shock, his jaw hanging. Several guests bolted for the exit. But Lucia stood frozen, her pristine wedding dress immaculate, until Daisy took a step forward, and a smear of dirt and something worse spread across the hem of her designer gown. She let out a strangled sound, somewhere between a gasp and a sob. "Oh God!" Mother was covering her nose with a napkin. Father was red with fury. And Lucia looked like she was about to explode. "What did you do?" she screamed. I shrugged. "Just adding a personal touch to the wedding that I paid for." Lucia's face contorted with rage. "You're disgusting." I tilted my head. "I could say the same about your dress." Her shriek was pure hatred. "You think this is funny?" "Oh, hilarious," I said, pulling out my phone. "And so do the thousands of people watching this live right now." I angled the screen towards her, showing the live stream I'd started minutes before. Her face drained of color. "No," she whispered. "Oh yes." Hundreds of comments were flowing nonstop. "Is this real? That horse really did that on her dress. Ignacio is a legend." Lucia lunged for my phone, but I stepped back. "Ah, you wanted a high-class event, Lucia? Well, congratulations, you've just gone viral." Mother let out a strangled gasp. "Ignacio, turn that off right now." I didn't. Instead, I brought my fingers to my lips and gave a sharp whistle. My horses turned and, like well-trained performers, trotted right back out of the venue. Behind them they left pure chaos. Ruined dresses. Shattered crystal glasses. A bride standing in the middle of it all. Her perfect, elegant evening reduced to an absolute disaster. I looked at Lucia one last time, wearing my best satisfied smile. "Congratulations on your wedding, sister," I said. "I hope it was everything you dreamed of." And with that I left. I drove away from the venue, the smell of hay and leather still clinging to my clothes. Even with the windows rolled up, I could perfectly picture the scene I'd left behind. Lucia screaming. Mother on the verge of fainting. Father seething. The guests trying to flee without ruining their ridiculously expensive designer shoes. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. I parked my Hilux back at my ranch, stepped out, and took a deep breath of the cool night air. My horses were already back in their stables, munching on hay, oblivious to the fact they just caused the most memorable wedding disaster in Alicante history. I was still chuckling to myself when my phone started exploding with notifications. I ignored the first few calls. But then the texts started pouring in. Mother. Ignacio, answer your phone right now. Father. You've humiliated us all. Unbelievable. Lucia. You're dead to me. Dead. Unknown number. Dude, this is going viral. Are you seeing this? That last message made me stop. I opened the link. And there it was. Lucia's wedding was trending. A TikTok video titled, "The Most Insane Wedding Disaster You'll Ever See," already had 200,000 views. I pressed play. The clip started just as Daisy was making her grand contribution on the dance floor. The camera panned across the guests, capturing their horrified faces, then zoomed in on Lucia. Her face. Lucia's face was a mask of fury. The hem of her dress was covered in, well, you get the picture. The comment section had no mercy. Best wedding entrance ever. October 10th. Imagine being such a horrible person that your own brother would rather send horses to your wedding than attend. She deserved it. I don't even know the full story, but the way he just walked away at the end? Iconic. I burst out laughing. At least someone appreciated my handiwork. But my amusement didn't last long. Just then my phone rang again. This time I answered. What? Lucia's voice nearly shattered the speaker. Nice wedding, I said, smirking. Very elegant. You ruined everything, she shrieked. Do you have any idea what you just did? People were filming, Ignacio. Filming. Oh, I know, I said calmly. You're famous now. I could hear her ragged breathing. You humiliated me. In front of all my guests. My family. Alex's family thinks I'm a joke now. Let's be real, Lucia, they probably thought that long before today. A silence, then a choke sound. Mom and Dad are furious. They want you to apologize. They want you to fix this. I laughed. Fix what? The fact that I wasn't good enough to be invited but good enough to pay for the whole thing? Yeah, I think we're past the point of fixing things, Lucia. She spat. You're so selfish. You think this is about money? It's about family. But of course you wouldn't understand, because you don't care about anyone but yourself. That made me pause. I gripped the phone tighter. You really want to talk about selfish, Lucia? Because last I checked, I was the one who shelled out thousands of euros for your dream wedding. I was the one who got used. You have no right to play the family card now, not after you treated me like trash. You're incredibly cynical, she spat. And you're incredibly spoiled, I retorted. You act like I owe you something just because we share DNA. Newsflash, Lucia. Family doesn't mean treating someone like garbage and expecting them to take it with a smile. Silence. For the first time in her life, Lucia had no response. But then a new voice entered the call. Ignacio. It was Alex, Lucia's brand new husband. His tone was low, strained. I don't know what's going on between you and your family, but you need to understand something. What you did, it didn't just embarrass Lucia. It embarrassed me. It embarrassed my family. I was silent for a moment, then said in a completely dead voice, Oh no, not your family. I heard him exhale sharply, clearly trying to rein in his anger. This isn't funny, Ignacio. Oh, I think it is. He rubbed his temples. Look, I don't like you and you don't like me, and that's fine. But I need to know why you did it. I set my coffee down on the table. You mean why I sent some perfectly well-trained horses to a wedding that I paid for and wasn't even invited to? The corner of Alex's eye twitched. You humiliated Lou. I tilted my head. And she didn't humiliate me? You know, she and my parents deliberately excluded me right after I paid thousands of euros for their wedding, and then laughed in my face about it. Alex said nothing. I leaned forward slightly. Tell me something, Alex. When Lucia told you what happened, did she ever mention that I was the one who paid for the whole thing? Silence. I didn't think so. Alex let out a long sigh. Look, I know Lucia can be difficult. I couldn't help but let out a dry laugh. You think. But he ignored me and kept talking. You've put me in an impossible situation. My mother is furious. My father thinks I married into a family of lunatics. Lucia hasn't stopped crying for days. And now her sponsorship deals are falling through. Brands don't want to work with her because of how she was portrayed in those videos. I shrugged. Not my problem. Alex's fingers tightened around his coffee cup. Ignacio, I need you to fix this. I looked at him silently for a long moment, then slowly leaned back in my chair. Let me see if I understand. You married Lucia, the same woman who treated me like garbage, cut me out of my own family, used me like an ATM, and now you, a guy I barely know, are sitting here telling me to fix her mess. Alex clenched his jaw. Yes. I let out a low mocking laugh. That's adorable. His face darkened. You don't understand. If this doesn't get fixed, my marriage might not survive. I took a slow sip of my coffee, savoring the moment. Then I set the cup down on the table and looked him directly in the eye. Sounds like a you problem, buddy. Alex cursed under his breath. Ignacio, please. I shook my head, still smiling. Nope. I think I'm just going to sit back and watch this whole thing crash and burn. I stood up, tossed some bills on the table, and clapped him on the shoulder as I walked past. Good luck with Lucia. You're going to need it. And with that, I left. Over the next week, things only got worse for them. Lucia's social media meltdown only dug her deeper. She tried to play the victim, posting long monologues about how her own family had betrayed her. But the internet wasn't buying it. The top-voted comment on one of her posts read, "Girl, you used your own brother for money and then uninvited him. You got exactly what you deserved." One by one, her sponsorship deals disappeared. Her influencer status plummeted. And the best part? Alex started liking comments that criticized her. I nearly choked on my drink when I saw that. Lucia must have seen it too, because 2 days later I got a text from Mother. Mother. Ignacio, your sister is devastated. You need to come and talk. I laughed out loud. Not in a million years was I falling for that trap. But I was curious. So, just for fun, I replied me. Oh, suddenly I'm family again? Mother. Stop being childish. We need to resolve this. Yeah, that wasn't happening. But then I got another message. This time from Alex. Alex. Ignacio, I left. I blinked, staring at the screen. Oh, this was getting interesting. Alex had left. I stared at his message for a long while, running through every possible reason in my head. Did Lucia finally push him over the edge? Was it the internet backlash? Or maybe, just maybe, he'd finally realized who he'd married. I took a deep breath and typed me. That was fast. What happened? Alex didn't respond immediately, but 20 minutes later my phone rang. I let it ring a few times before answering. If you're calling to ask me for a place to stay, the answer is no. Alex let out a bitter laugh. Wouldn't blame you if you did. But no, I got a hotel. I leaned back in my chair, resting my boots on the porch railing. So what's the story? Alex sighed heavily. It wasn't just the wedding. I mean, that was the first big blow, realizing how she treated you. But after that, it was like I saw her clearly for the first time. I waited. She takes no responsibility for anything, he continued. First it was your fault for ruining the wedding. Then it was my fault for not defending her enough. Then it was her friend's fault for not protecting her image online. And finally, it was the brand's fault for dropping her sponsorships. I smiled wryly. So basically, it was never Lucia's fault. Exactly, he murmured. And then last night we had a huge fight. I told her she needed to own up to what she did to you. That maybe if she sincerely apologized, she could start to fix things. I blinked. You told her to apologize? He let out a bitter laugh. Yeah, stupid, right? And what did she say? His voice was filled with disbelief. She called me a traitor. Like I was supposed to blindly support her no matter what she did. I couldn't help but let out a dry chuckle. Welcome to the family, man. Alex let out a weary sigh. Well, not anymore. Because when I told her I'd had enough. You know what she said? I raised an eyebrow. Surprise me. His tone went ice cold. She said, and I quote, "You'll regret this. I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you." She actually said that? Oh yeah. Alex sighed heavily. That was the moment I knew. I packed my bags and left. There was a pause. Then I said, Alex, I have to ask you something. He exhaled slowly. Because I owe you an apology, Ignacio. That made me sit up a little straighter. You treated me like I was the bad guy in the story. You believed everything Lucia and your parents said about me, that I was spiteful, selfish, that I just wanted to ruin her life out of spite. But after seeing how she treated me the instant I stopped worshipping the ground she walked on. He shook his head. She's toxic, Ignacio. Your whole family is. I let his words hang in the air, then simply said, yeah, I know. 3 days later, Lucia called. I let it go to voicemail. Then Mother texted. Mother? Ignacio, answer your sister. She's heartbroken. I stared at the message for a long time and finally replied me. She made her bed. Now let her lie in it. After that, I didn't hear from them again. No more texts. No more calls. And for the first time in years I felt free. No guilt. No expectations. No being treated like an ATM instead of a person. I went back to my life, my horses, my business. And it was good. But then a month later I got a letter in the mail. It was from Alex. Inside was a short note. Ignacio, thanks for knocking some sense into me. Next time you're in town, drinks are on me. Alex. And taped to the bottom, a copy of Lucia's divorce papers. I burst out laughing so loud I almost spooked the horses.